welcome to ABC Interactive English. Hello everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And we are back with Part B, Day 2, dealing with bad neighbors.
Yes.
People you live next to just because you own this home, they own that home, and you're right on each side of each other, but you're not friends. Maybe you're not showing a lot of respect to each other, and problems and bad situations can develop. Now, yesterday you got scratched by your bad neighbor. Well, not your neighbor's cat.
Well, thankfully it wasn't my
Yes.
neighbor. If it was actually my neighbor who did that, then we'd have a much bigger problem.
I think so. You might get the police involved. But generally, when you're dealing with bad neighbors, it's probably better not to call the police right away. You can go over and talk with people. And I've had a few bad neighbors in my life, but the good thing is by talking to people or just changing the situation a little bit, things can be solved. Problems can be taken care of. One time when I was living back in Canada, I came home on a sunny Sunday afternoon and I found it raining inside my apartment. There was water pouring from the ceiling in my living room.
Oh my goodness.
And so I ran to the kitchen. I got every pot and every bucket that I could find. I had about 9 of them around the living room. I ran upstairs, banged on the door, and no one answered. So then I climbed out the window. I went up the fire escape. On the outside, there's a ladder or stairs so you can get out if there's a fire. So I climbed up there. I looked in. He had a giant fish tank in the middle of his living room with a hose carrying water from the kitchen sink. I guess he had cleaned the fish tank. He was filling it again. It takes a long time.
Yes, it does.
And he just decided to leave, to walk around on a sunny day, to go shopping, to get a coffee, I don't know what. So it was raining in my apartment for about 10 or 15 minutes. He came home. He had to walk by my door when he was going up to his apartment. He looked in, he saw it raining, he yelled a very bad word, "Oh!" And then about 3 minutes later, it stopped raining.
Oh gosh.
And he came down and he said sorry, and he offered me some money, he helped to clean it up. He didn't do anything to kind of say, oh, well, that's too bad. He was very nice about it. So a bad situation, but I think we handled it well. No one was angry. The police didn't come.
That's good.
And I did have a slightly wet sofa. So there you go. Dealing with bad neighbors can be interesting, can be a challenge, but it doesn't always have to lead to a fight. Let's see what's going to happen today in our dialogue. Karen goes up to Todd outside a house.
Hey, get away from that house.
Who are you, and what can I do for you?
I live on this street, and you can't put that flag up.
Sure I can. I can do whatever I please.
No, you can't. It's against the law to be on someone's land without their permission.
All right, so yes, we are dealing with bad neighbors or handling situations between you and a bad neighbor. Part B, mind your own business. Whoa, okay. So that's what you say to someone when you think they're bothering you about things that they shouldn't care about. This is my thing. I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not hurting you. Why are you yelling at me? Mind your own business, leave me alone. This isn't involving you. So what's going on? Well, Karen goes up to Todd outside a house. So Karen, Todd, a house. What's going on?
Yes, and just as a little side note to this mind your own business, this is usually something you say when you're not happy. This is not the nicest phrase.
No.
So if you're telling somebody to mind their own business, you are kind of mad and they've done something that bothers you. So not something that you will tell people if you are just joking or having kind of like a light conversation. It is kind of a rude sentence to say, and it means that you're probably kind of mad. Okay, so Karen says, hey, get away from that house.
Whoa, okay.
Get away.
So Todd is near a house and Karen doesn't think he should be there. Maybe he's trying to climb in a window to steal their computer or something. What's going on? But Todd is also asking, what's going on? He doesn't know what she's talking about. He doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. And he also doesn't know who she is. He says, who are you? And what can I do for you? I mean, if it was a police officer and they thought you were a thief, you would understand. If they say, get away from that house, but she's not, he's not breaking any laws. So he says, who are you and what are you upset about?
Yes, and so she says, I live on this street and you can't put that flag up. So now we have a little bit of information. Todd must be outside the house trying to put up some kind of flag. And Karen lives somewhere on the street, maybe across the road, maybe down the street. And she saw him and said, hey, you can't do that.
Interesting. So maybe she's never seen him before. Maybe he just moved to the neighborhood a day or two ago. Or maybe Karen is just a nosy person who is always getting involved in other people's business. In other ways, you could say maybe she's being a good neighbor. Maybe she's trying to protect the homes in her neighborhood from a thief or a criminal. Maybe she thinks that's what Todd is. Let's find out. Well, Todd says, sure I can. Yes, I can be here. I can put up this flag. In fact, he says, I can do whatever I please. In other words, I can do whatever I want. He doesn't really mean anything. I think he means on this land, by this house. It's my land, my house, my business. I can do whatever I please, including putting up a flag.
Yes, and so he wants to put up a flag, and a flag is just some kind of symbol or representation of something that you want to say you support, and it usually is kind of a rectangular thing made of cloth that might flap in the wind. So for example, every country has its own flag, and also a lot of different things you might support, like maybe a political party. They might have their own flag, or a football team, a sports team, they might have a flag. And so he has some sort of flag, we don't know what kind, but he's trying to put it up in front of this house.
All right, and he says, I can do it. I can do whatever I please. And to please, when we use it this way, is basically to make someone happy, to make yourself or other people happy. We also use it in a polite way. Yes, please. Can I please get some more milk or something like that? But here, talking about pleasing someone, you're making that person happy. He's basically saying, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever makes me happy. Well, I guess if it's his land, his flag, his house, he can.
Yes, but Karen is not so convinced. So she says, no, you can't. It's against the law to be on someone's land without their permission.
True.
So again, this situation, the most that we can kind of guess is that Todd must be a new neighbor. So she has never seen him before, and she's thinking that he is on someone else's land at someone else's house and isn't supposed to be there. Although we'll see kind of later what actually is the real situation. But for now, she says, you can't be on someone else's land. And land is it's the ground. It's not the ocean. Usually it's not a mountain or something like that, but it's the actual ground of the earth. And it's what you own when we talk about it this way. It's some kind of property that you could buy and sell. So you say, this land is mine. I want to buy some land out in the country and build a house. And again, for this, the house and the surrounding yard, that's all the land that belongs to the person who owns the house. So that's how we're using land in this situation.
Yeah, almost exactly the same as the word property.
Yes.
Right, so we're using it in that way. Parts of the earth that you can buy, sell, and own. And yes, if it's your apartment, your home, your front yard, backyard, that's your land, and you don't need someone's permission to do things on it. Well, nothing too crazy, right? Permission is basically getting someone to say, yes, it's okay, you can do this, all right? In certain situations in life, we do need to get permission. Often school kids can't just get up from their desk and walk out to the bathroom anytime they want. They have to say, teacher, may I go to the bathroom, please? They're asking for permission. And again, if maybe Sam has some land and I want to put a flag on it, even if we're good friends, even if we're neighbors, I would ask her permission. It's not mine, so I need the person who owns it or controls it or who makes the rules to say, yes, it's okay. And then I have their permission. All right, so with Sam's permission, we will now take a break. Can we take a break, Sam?
Yes, you
Yay!
may.
We'll be back in a moment.
I'm quite aware of that. So I suggest you get back on the sidewalk, walk home, and mind your own business.
No, I'm going to call the police.
Good. Then they can arrest you when they get here.
We are in the middle of a disagreement between Karen and Todd. He's putting up a flag on some land. Karen isn't sure if he owns the land, and she thinks he doesn't. So she's saying, you need permission to put up that flag. You can't just do what you want. But Todd, he answers, I'm quite aware of that. He says, I know I can't do what I want. I know I need permission. But he doesn't seem to be bothered. Maybe this is his land. We're not sure because no one has said that clearly yet. But anyways, Todd now is getting a little upset and he kind of warns Karen. He says, I'm aware of that. I know what you're saying. I understand, but I don't care. So I suggest you get back on the sidewalk, walk home, and mind your own business. Basically, he's saying, go away and leave me alone, you crazy lady.
Yeah. So again, I think at this point, he probably could just say, hey, this is my house.
I moved in yesterday.
Yes.
I bought it last week, or yeah.
This
right.
might be a good time to say that I live here,
Sure.
I'm your new neighbor, and then maybe they could kind of get off on a better foot and kind of smooth things over. But he doesn't.
Yes.
He says, mind your own business. So again, that's phrasing, he must be a little bit annoyed. He's a little bit rude back to her as well and says, go home, get back on the sidewalk, walk away. Okay, so we had this word sidewalk, and this is a noun, and this just refers to the edging of a road that's usually paved. So it's usually got some kind of cement or something, and that's where the people walk. And so if you have usually in a neighborhood, you will always have pretty nice sidewalks, and they might be even a little bit wider than normal so that people can walk and bike ride and take their kids on walks and things like that. But when you get into the city, like a lot of places here in Taiwan, the sidewalk kind of disappears and you go down the alleys and you have to just kind of walk next to the building and not get hit.
It's very dangerous. Not enough sidewalks in Taiwan.
Definitely. Okay, so Karen, again, she's still not so happy about this. And she says, no, meaning no, I'm not going to walk away. No, I'm going to call the police.
Wow.
So she's really convinced that he is up to no good. And she's going to make sure that he gets in trouble.
Well, if he is just putting up flags anywhere he wants, he will be in trouble. But he doesn't seem to be worried about this threat that the police will come and they'll catch him doing something. In fact, he says, good, yeah, call the police. Go ahead. I don't care. It won't scare me. He says, good, and then he says, then they, the police, when they come here, then they can arrest you, Karen, when they get here, I guess, because he will say, this crazy lady came on my land, she's yelling at me, this is my house, she's bothering me, she's in trouble. Well, hopefully at the end of this, when the police arrive, no one will get arrested. The police will help solve this and we'll figure out who actually owns the land, because that's very important. To be arrested is to be stopped by the police because you have broken a law or committed a crime, and they are going to take you to the police station. They are quite sure that you did it. They saw you do it, or other people were there and they say you did it. It's against the law. You're in trouble. You'll have to go to a court, see a judge, maybe go to jail. But in the movies, when they put the handcuffs on the person, read them their rights, put them in the police car, and drive them off to the police station, that is the person getting arrested. Have you ever been arrested? No. All right, so that's all the time we have. So we'll meet back here tomorrow with another situation with bad neighbors, and hopefully it goes a little better than today.
We don't want anybody getting arrested.
Yeah, I feel like today we kind of had 2 bad neighbors. Yes. So hopefully tomorrow we'll have 2 good neighbors and we'll see how things can be solved peacefully. We'll see you then. Karen goes up to Todd outside a house.
Hey, get away from that house.
Who are you and what can I do for you?
I live on this street and you can't put that flag up.
Sure I can. I can do whatever I please.
No, you can't. It's against the law to be on someone's land without their permission.
I'm quite aware of that. So I suggest you get back on the sidewalk, walk home, and mind your own business.
No, I'm going to call the police.
Good. Then they can arrest you when they get here.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 flag 名词，旗帜。A colorful flag is going up to celebrate the holiday. 一面彩色的旗帜为了庆祝这个节日而正在升起。下一个单字 please 动词，喜欢，乐意。Do as one pleases 指的是随某人高兴，爱怎样就怎样。Tracy thinks she can just do as she pleases. Tracy 觉得自己可以为所欲为。下一个单字 land 名词，土地。They bought a piece of land to build their dream home. 他们买了一块土地，打算在上面建造他们的梦想之家。最后一个单字 sidewalk 名词，人行道。The children rode their bikes on the sidewalk. 孩子们在人行道上骑自行车。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个，我们先来整理一下 get 的常见片语。第一个片语 get away from place 远离某处。我们来看看这个例句。Ruby wants to get away from school. Ruby 想要远离学校。下一个片语 get back 回到，返回。我们来看看这个例句。After a long trip, it's nice to get back home. 经过一段长途旅行，回到家里感觉很好。下一个文法 against the law 违法的，这是一个固定用法。Against 是一个介系词，指的是违背、违反。我们来看看这个例句。Stealing is against the law. 偷窃是违法的。最后一个文法 Somebody is aware of something. 某人知悉某事物。Aware 指的是察觉的、意识到的。注意搭配的介系词是 of。我们来看看这个例句。Katie wasn't aware of the risks. Katie 没意识到这些风险。Risk 指的是风险。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，回去记得复习哦。我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Hello everybody, today we are taking a trip to Mr. Brown Avenue. So you might have never heard of this word avenue before in English. Well, avenue is just another word for street. In fact, just like in Chinese, you have lots of different names for types of streets, whether they're small or whether they're big, and depending on what kind of traffic could go on it. So in English, we have, as we know, avenue. You could say boulevard, you could say street, you could say road, you could say court, and there's probably even more that I can't think of. Now, you might ask me, what's the difference between all these? Don't worry about that. You just learn it when you see the sign, and that's all you need to know. So let's get into today's lesson. Mr. Brown Avenue is a beautiful country road in northern Taidong County. This small road goes through golden rice fields. It has also been called Green Road of Paradise. Biking along the road is probably the best way to enjoy the view. Many people began visiting this spot after a famous television ad was filmed here. Now, that's very interesting. Now, many people come to take great pictures on Mr. Brown Avenue. It's very interesting that this place became famous after a television ad was filmed there. I'm from Los Angeles and I live very close to Hollywood. Now, there are so many famous places that are filmed because Hollywood is where all movies are filmed. So you can even take a bus tour that will take you to all the places that you've seen in the movies. So that's just an interesting fact, and I hope you enjoyed today's lesson.